Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the Davidson-Davie Community College Coaches Show with Matt Ridge. I'm Miles Poole. We're coming to you tonight live from Brinkley Gym right here on the campus of DDCC. Got a great show for you. This is our first show of the year. We're kicking off the 2023-2024 season. Coach Ridge is going to give us an update on some of the off-season activities. They've been very busy surrounding Storm basketball. We'll also look at the upcoming schedule. And we'll get a sneak preview at this year's team. All of the guys are sitting over to our right here as we start our season. A little bit away. November 4th is the first game, first regular season game. We've got special guests tonight, as always. They're returning members from last year's team. So Trey Fields in the house, Najee Stroman, and also Alex Reese is going to be with us as well. And I want to remind you that you can ask Coach Ridge or any one of us here a question via the Facebook link. Got a lot of folks in the house. Brandon Mullis on the camera, Jared Bowman, and Patrick Simmons to my left here. And this gentleman to my right is the head coach of the DDC Storm, the athletics here at Davidson-Davie. Coach Ridge, welcome.
Miles, you're just another example of why we say we're a big family, and I certainly appreciate all you do for this program. You do so many things, not just, of course, the coaches show, but on game day to make this basketball program come alive for our fans that can't make games here in Brinkley Gym. So thank you. I'm excited about this group, really excited about this group, a lot of talent. It's just like most preseasons, they're putting in a tremendous amount of work every day on and off the court to us to be prepared for that first game November 4th.
Well, you guys had a great year, maybe understating last year. I mean, you finished with a 35-1 record. The only loss was in the national tourney quarterfinals to Macomb. Before we talk about this year, can you just kind of reminisce for us, if you will, highlight for the fans your feelings on last year's accomplishments?
Special group, special year. Didn't end the way we wanted, obviously. But for them to stay that humble as everybody was patting them on the back and telling them how great they are, to win 33 games in a row, I think it was, before we lost to Macomb in the Elite Eight. That's never been done here before. To run the table in the regular season 29-0, I mean, that's rare at any level. The guys were obviously talented, but they cared about one thing, and that was winning games. They weren't out there for individual stats. I think we ended the season with 5 or 6 kids that averaged right around double figures. But at the end of the day, they kept grinding and getting better and stayed humble, because you don't go undefeated or even close to that unless your guys are staying humble and continuing to get better and better. So really proud of their success on the court. And 5 of those are playing at the next level on full scholarships, and all 5 of them are doing really well according to their head coaches that I've talked to. So I'm excited to see how they do this year at the next level.
Well, as the season ended last year, you were thinking probably ahead, and, 9 players graduated, moved on. If I read the numbers right, 82% of your total points, so you got to replace 75 points per game, 35 rebounds per game. That's 75% of the rebounds. That's leaving. Talk about that as a challenge as an NJCAA coach, and how you approach what maybe call the reloading process.
Well, it's a challenge that I embraced when I came here. I knew in junior college the turnover was going to be extremely high, and it should be, because they're coming here with the hopes of moving on and playing at the next level. Now, last year it was kind of a little bit unique that we had 10 sophomores out of 13 guys that dressed. That's probably too many, but it's just the way it unfolded when we were recruiting. The transfer portal has changed recruiting so much. We've got guys on this team from the portal last year, of course, and that's not going to change in the near future because of how many guys are bouncing from school to school. And it's a shame that it's the way it is, because in my opinion, there's so many kids that go in that 4-year transfer portal every year that never get picked up, either by a junior college or another 4-year school, and their career ends because they think the grass is greener, but when you get there, you still got to mow it. But at the end of the day, we're using that as one way to help our program get better and give guys a second chance to use us as a vehicle to get to that next level. So we are going in the transfer portal every year, but we're very selective on who we take, not just talented kids, but kids that can play for me in this program. And there's certain intangibles that we look for when we recruit.
Well, you mentioned going to the next level, and the NJCAA is really a great path, great opportunity for young athletes to move into a higher level 4-year school. Your program has an awesome track record of allowing young athletes to be able to do that. Last year, you just mentioned it. You had some players jump to the next level after last season. Can you tell us where they'll be playing this year, who they are and where they'll be playing?
Yeah, both Jaheim Taylor and Chase may have been first-team All-Region guys last year, are both at Lenore Ryan. Coach Everett's became a good friend of mine. He's doing very well. Both of those guys, he expects both of them will play major minutes. Aaron Ross and Keith Reese are both doing very well in the preseason at Shawan. And Jonathan Faust is absolutely killing it, from what I understand, at Lynchburg. Lynchburg has an assistant coach that was one of my former assistants, Dylan Hall, and he says that Jonathan's doing very well. So all 5 of those guys are expected to play and be contributors on those respective teams, Lenore Ryan, Shawan, and Lynchburg.
It'll be interesting because some of those teams will play each other this year.
Yeah.
I believe Jonathan Faust, you mentioned Lynchburg in the ODAC in Division III. I think Hubert Davis' son also plays
Yep.
for that team as
Sure
well.
Does. Sure does.
Some good talent there.
And then you got Aaron Ross, Keith Reese in the CIAA. Lenore Ryan, of course, plays Catawba, where Javion's at. And then you got Leeds McCrae, and then you got, we got a bunch of guys all over. You got Zy Dawkins playing at Converse. So it'll be fun for me to get out and watch those guys play at those 4-year schools. I always enjoy doing that. Kenneth and I always make a point to go see our former players play.
So I know recruiting is always a priority for you and your coaches. Key success to your program here, right? And that is one of the keys. But having to replace that 75% of your team, I'm sure, has kept you and your staff very busy this year. Tell us a little bit about how recruiting's gone for you and your coaches heading into the year.
Recruiting in 2023 is much different than when Brandon and I, Coach Mullis, started in 2007 because of the portal. A lot of 4-year schools are going to the portal first, second, and third, and then junior college before they even consider high school kids, because they want to stay as old as possible. Theoretically, a 21 or 20-year-old young man that's played in college for a few years is going to be more mature, not just physically, but mentally. Because at the 4-year level, if you're not winning now, sometimes you're on that hot seat, you're out of a job. So these 4-year coaches are reaching out to, the portal first and then junior college second is what I'm finding. It's helping our kids get recruited. But on the back end, in terms of us recruiting, we are always evaluating whether it be high school or kids that end up going to the portal. But we don't know who's going to go in the portal until probably January, February, March at the earliest, sometimes April, May. So it's a process to work through. But right now we already have over 300 guys in our database for the upcoming senior year in terms of high school kids. Now, we haven't seen all 300 of those kids play, but we have over 300 kids in our database that we're tracking.
Well, you mentioned the portal. A lot of talk in the NCAA and NJCAA around the transfer portal. Also, you hear a lot about the NIL, the National Image and Likeness policy. They do present challenges and opportunities in college sports. For you to speak, I'd like to understand your perspective on the transfer portal and the NIL deals.
Well, like I said earlier, I'm old school in a lot of ways. I'm a loyal person. That's the way I was raised by my parents. For me personally, I've always tried to make my situation better in life instead of looking for a, quote, better situation. Unfortunately, these young men that they grow up in now, they are on social media every day. They're used to people stroking them mentally in terms of how many likes can I get here and there. And I think that plays a part in their mentality. And sometimes they're quick to jump ship, not just in terms of athletics, but for me personally, I try to encourage our guys to try to make their current situations better instead of maybe dropping a class they're struggling in, to try to overcome some adversity and overcome some tough times, whether it be in a class or in a practice or whatever in life, because I think long term, that's why I really coach, is to help them grow so they can be successful outside of basketball. But obviously we do use the portal, like I said earlier. I'm not a huge fan of the number of young men that go in it every year, but we certainly don't turn our head away from it either. And then on the NIL deal, it is something that is, it's between strictly businesses and the student athletes. We do have 5 of our players that currently have an NIL deal, and we're just blessed here in our community to have some businesses that support our program and our players like that. So it was really kind of neat to watch our players take advantage of a business right down the road that wanted to sign some of our guys to an NIL deal.
Well, you've got Coach Josh Allen coming back for his 6th season. You also, in the offseason, have added a new coach to your staff, sitting over to our right here, Corey Dumas. Can you recognize both of these men and let the Storm Nation know just how key they are to the success of this program?
There's no question that this program wouldn't be anywhere close to who we are without the tirelessly working assistants behind the scenes. I mean, Coach Dumas has already driven all over the state, and we're just into September. So, Coach Allen's been with me for 6 years now, and he's a tireless recruiter. And both these guys are doing tons of things behind the scenes that really nobody knows except for these guys and myself. And I can't thank them enough for the amount of hours they put in, because it's less than pennies on the hour if you look at it. So they're not coaching for the money. They're coaching because they love these kids and they want to see them be successful, not just on the court and classroom, but in life. And I'm lucky to have 2 great assistants in Josh and Corey. And Corey's been a great addition. He kind of offsets some of my intensity, Coach Allen's intensity. He's so far been Mr. Positive, but I'm sure he's going to have a day or two where the guys see his other side. He says he's got another side, so I hadn't seen it yet, but we'll see it at some point.
Speaking of intensity, I know your practices are and can be very intense. Have you officially started those yet?
October 1st is the first official day for junior college, but in JUCO you can practice 8 hours a week the first day of class up until October 1st. So this Sunday is October 1st. The guys I was talking about earlier today will start 6 days a week this Sunday, but we've been going 2 days a week since the second week of classes.
So what are your early impressions of the team, the talent so far?
Talent's out the roof. We're not a team yet. That's my job to, cultivate that over time. But, over time we will do that. I challenge them every day to be more committed, not just in the classroom, but, there's a lot of things I expect from 6 p.m. to 3 p.m. the next day in terms of shooting on the gun, lifting weights, studying film. I could keep going. I think some of our returners are a little shell-shocked, maybe, might be a good word, in terms of the commitment that I expect. But to win at the level that we've won at, that's what we've got to have. And so I'm going to keep challenging them to do that. And over a period of time, they will, I think, learn, and they'll see how that's going to pay dividends down the road.
Well, speaking of returners, we always like to interview the players when we can, and you and I will take a break here, and we'll bring some of those returners up from last year's squad. We'll start with Trey Fields first.
Absolutely.
Also, I want to say Jason Gore's watching, so Jason, we appreciate you very, very much. Kip Childress also watching out there as well, so we certainly appreciate that. Remember, you can send Coach in a question if you'd like to ask him one via our Facebook link. Trey, welcome.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Good.
So 14 minutes a game last year, 7.3 points a ball game, 4.5 rebounds per ball game. Very good contributor to last year's squad. Big part of the 35-1 successful season. What are some things, Trey, that you learned about yourself, and how do you feel you developed as the season went on last year?
I think I learned a lot about what you need to make it through a season, like in terms of mental toughness. It's a lot, and it's hard to know what it's going to be like till you actually go through it. And so it's a long season. It's 8 to 10 months. The tournament, if you make it into the playoffs, is a week long. You're playing 4 times in that week. So it's a lot mentally, going to class, going to practice, and dealing with all the stuff that comes with that. But I was able to learn that how mentally tough I was. I could make it through it.
You had the advantage of being on a team that had some 2-year, 3-year players. Anybody in particular from last year's squad that had a big impact on your development?
I say Chase taught me a lot about how to, use your body down low, how to make certain moves and make people go for certain fakes and stuff like that. So he taught me a lot, having a battle with him during practice down low and stuff like that.
So you played at Cleveland High School, 3 years of varsity there. You went from 11 points a game, I think, to 16 points a game on a team that was pretty phenomenal. I mean, 23-1 in conference play, I think, in your time there, 31-6 overall, pretty good record. Question for you, Trey, what kind of adjustment did you have to make, or was it coming out of a successful high school program into this elite junior college program?
I wouldn't say it was much of an adjustment. I just kind of took the things that I learned in high school from winning in high school and tried to apply that into this year or last year. So I wouldn't say it was really adjustments. I just worked on certain stuff, and Coach Ridge told me to work on certain stuff before I ended up getting here. So I really just added to my game instead of I wouldn't say adjustments. I was just say I added.
Well, tell us a little bit about your injury. I know you had an injury this offseason. When can our listeners and Storm fans expect to see you back on the court?
Yeah, so I ended up partially tearing my patella tendon, and then it was also inflamed. So I had the surgery about a month ago, and I'll probably be back. Hopefully in a month, maybe a little bit longer, but hopefully I can play in a month. That's the plan.
What are your thoughts about the team so far this year that you've been around these guys for a little bit now?
I think we got a good team. I'm excited. I think we're gelling really well. We got a few things to learn because there's so many new players. So, but I mean, I'm not worried. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna be good. I'm not worried.
So coming back for your sophomore year here, do you see yourself taking on more of the role of team leader? And if so, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, right now I obviously can't play, so I'm trying to be kind of a vocal leader. I'm trying to help them since I know kind of how the system works. I'm trying to help people navigate around that. But yeah, I definitely do. And when I'm able to come back and play, I definitely want to be kind of that on-court team leader.
What about your relationship with Coach Ridge and the other coaches here at DDCC? What's that like?
I got a good relationship with everybody. All the coaches. I know, I may disagree with them sometimes or get mad when they get in on me at practice, but I know at the end of the day he got my back and got my best interest in mind.
And plans after graduating here?
I mean, I just want to go to a 4-year and continue playing basketball. I mean, that's always the goal. Anybody who will write a check, I'll go play.
Okay. Curious now, any pregame rituals or things that you do to prepare yourself for game day? It's always a fun question.
I don't really have anything crazy. I usually just get like a little lift in, get my body ready, get blood flowing, but nothing crazy. Just listen to music, stuff like that.
Well, we want you to get back on the court quick. Heal, get better, take care of yourself, and we appreciate you. Very good interview here.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Well spoken. Trey Fields, guys.
Thank you.
Give him a hand. Nice job. All right, we'll bring up Najee Stroman now, the big man coming up. Also, Manuel Tigg is out watching, so Manuel, thanks for that shout out there. Oh, Manuel Tigg is over here, as long as also with Caleb Curry and his son, and I think maybe the volleyball team. Is this volleyball team over here? Oh, wow. Got a full house tonight. All right, so Najee Stroman joins us. Najee, welcome to the program. A little over 9 points a game last year, 4.4 rebounds a ball game. You continued as the season went on. You got more playing time. Talk us through how you developed as the season went on.
I would say I definitely developed physically, learning how to take care of my body over the year. At the beginning of the season, I wasn't mentally tough or physically ready for the challenges that coach, gave us during the beginning of the season. But as the season went on, I just developed, embraced my role and expanded it as the season went on.
Now, you played high school ball at Richmond County, and I was looking at some of your stats, your senior season. It seems like you finished the season really strong. You had 2 of your best games, the last 2 games of the year, 25 points in each of those ball games. What was it like for you coming out of high school into a team with as much talent as the Storm had on their roster?
In high school, I was definitely that guy on the team, and then coming here, everybody just as talented, if not more talented. So that was a huge adjustment, just realizing that I was going to have to beat out so many players just to get playing time. So mentally, that was the biggest adjustment I had to make. So I would say that's really the biggest difference.
So how did you choose DDCC as a college?
Mainly because it's a winning organization. Everybody know about winning. So I know if I came here, put in the work, listen to what Coach said, I was going to be getting recruited to the 4-year level.
Now, did Jarvis Tillman play for Richmond? Did you guys know each other?
Yes, sir. We played high school ball together.
Okay.
He had a big impact on me coming here too, honestly.
All right, so let's talk about last year's experience. You guys went 35-1. You were a solid contender to win the national championship. Tell us a little bit about that run.
It was fun. We had a great group of guys. Everybody came in every day, pushed each other, gave it our all every day in practice. We came up short. I wish we could have made it, to the championship, of course. But it was a great experience. I learned a lot. I'm going to channel that energy to this year. Hopefully we can win it all.
Good deal. Now, you mentioned Jarvis, so I want to ask you about him. But were there anybody else on last year's team maybe that you looked up to as a leader to help you develop?
I would have to say Chase. Guarding him every day in practice, he's taught me a lot, how to post up, how to use my body, how to finish around the basket. And I would say Jarvis, of course, he was the vocal leader of the team. Yeah. So I'm learning how to be more vocal this year because last year I wasn't really that vocal. So I'm trying to be more of a leader, embrace that role this year.
So give the Storm fans a little bit of an insight. What is it really like to play for Coach Ridge and Coach Allen and Coach Dumas now?
It's definitely a challenge, definitely that. If you're not mentally prepared, this not for you. Yeah, I tell you that right now. If you don't love basketball, this is not the place for you. So they're gonna challenge your love for the game every day, and if you're not ready, you definitely gonna break down. But if you're ready and you put in the work, you'll love it here.
So when I ask you about why you chose DDCC, you said everybody knows about the Storm. They're an elite program. What are some of the qualities now that you've been here that you think are here that keep DDCC in the top 10 in the nation year after year after year?
Definitely our attention to detail. With Coach Ridge, everything, he's so detail-oriented, and he leads all of us to have the same work ethic as him. So most schools and teams don't pay that much attention to the stuff that he paid attention to. So I feel like that's what keeps us winning every year.
Thoughts on the team so far?
We have a great group of guys. I don't feel like we're as a whole a team as we should be, but I feel like we're gonna get there.
I ask you the same question I asked Trey. What are your ambitions after graduating here?
Definitely get to a 4-year. Whoever offers me, I feel like the best fit. That's my goal, just to play basketball at a 4-year.
Now, do you have any pregame rituals that you want to share with us?
I would say take a nap, but Coach Ridge don't like people taking a nap. So,
as long as you don't take a nap before or during the ball game,
yes,
right?
Sir.
All right. Well, Najee, it's going to be fun watching you play this year. Appreciate it. Great interview.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
Thanks.
Najee Stroman. Okay, we have one more. Great job there. Brian Hughes is watching also. Is Brian in here tonight? No, Brian is not in here. Okay, Alex Reese steps up to the podium here. Alex, welcome.
What's up? How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Alex was a guard that played not too far from here. You had a really nice high school career at Ledford High School. You were Panther, much like your coach. 18 points a game there, 4 assists, 3 steals, 5 rebounds per game. Pretty nice numbers, real solid numbers your senior season as a Panther.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about about that high school playing experience there at Ledford.
It was amazing. Amazing community, amazing coaches, people who love you, always pushed you to your limits. It was an amazing experience.
So how did you choose to come to DDCC?
I wasn't heavily recruited coming out of high school. I got offered by Coach Ridge. I got one more offer from Ferrum University, or college I'm in. D3 up in Virginia, but I felt like God led me here, and I think it turned out to be the best situation for me.
Well, the gentleman that Najee mentioned a moment ago, Jarvis Tillman, I can this rings in my ear. I always can hear him say, "Work while you wait." Right?
Yes, sir.
That was something I heard him say often. What does that mean to you?
That's a big thing to me. I was a redshirt last year. So I never got to participate in the games besides the scrimmages and all preseason. So, I came to practice every day. I pushed myself. The guys on the team pushed me to become the best version of myself, and I hope it pays off this year.
So how do you think the team is shaping up so far?
We're getting there. I think we're getting 1% better every day. We still got a few things to fix between our ears, but we're slowly becoming more of a team every day, and we're gonna be really good this year.
Well, being around and being part of that 35-1 team from last year, how does this team so far stack up to what you experienced last year?
I don't know. Last year's team, that was a really special group. It's kind of hard to beat the special group of people we had in the team last year. But even having some returners and the red shirts, I think we're going to carry over that success to this year, make a big name for ourselves.
So to win 35 games, only lose one game, has got to be incredibly challenging, I'm sure, as a season. It's a long season.
Yes, sir.
What are some things, Alex, that Coach Ridge emphasizes to keep the team so humble when they're having so much success?
One of the biggest things he said last year that he said almost at every practice was, don't get a big head. There was people in the community loving on us every day, giving us praises for every win we got. But we just had to take it one game at a time and remember the higher goal of a national championship at the end of the year.
So what are the strengths that you bring to this squad?
I'm definitely working on my leadership this year and being more of a vocal leader. I wasn't that loud of a player last year, but I'm definitely working on that this year to help some of the first years and become more adapt to the program. Being able to add my offensive presence to the team whenever I'm in the game, and I'm working on my defensive presence as well.
So if I were to ask you one thing about the game that you want to continue to focus on improving, would you say defense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Goals for the year. Let's hear them.
Win and have fun, be able to make an impact for the team, help us win some games, and ultimately have fun with the guys.
What are your plans after DDCC?
If an opportunity presents itself to move on to a 4-year, I'll definitely try and take it. If it doesn't, I'm definitely trying to have a basketball still in my life, whether that be coaching or training in some type of way, but always have it a part of my life.
Okay, the last question for you, Alex. How intense have the early practices been?
It ain't easy. It's not for everyone definitely coming here. You definitely have to be physically prepared to come here, but I think it's more of a mental aspect for when you come here, because they're going to try and wear you down each and every day, but at the end of the day, they're just trying to make you better, become the best version of yourself.
Just tell these guys it doesn't get any easier as the season goes on, right?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, Alex Reese. Thank you, Alex. Great interview. Good job. Alex returning from last year's squad. Looking for really good things from Alex this year. 3 really good, well-spoken young men you got there, Coach.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear Alex say he's focused on the defensive end, so that he gets a save for that remark practice. Good job, Alex. Najee and Trey, great job. I'm proud of both of you.
Super job, guys. All right, let's look at Region 10 in this year's schedule for a little bit, Coach, if you don't mind. Last year you were undefeated in conference play, 25-0 in against conference opponents, 22-0 in regular season, 3-0 in that Region 10 tourney. A lot of hard-fought victories, though. I mean, if I look at those 25 wins, 8 games were decided by less than 10 points. You had an overtime win on the road. I think you got challenged pretty heavy. Talk about the competitiveness of this conference top to bottom.
Well, first of all, Miles, I think about 4 or 5 of those games were decided within 3 points or less. So, even though we were 33-0 going into that Macomb game, I mean, there were several of those games that could have gone either way. But our players had such poise in those late game situations last year, and we work on late game situations quite a bit. We haven't as much with this team yet, but we will. I was so proud of how they handled those late game scenarios on really both sides of the ball. But there was a game last year we were down 8 with about a minute left, and we won in regulation. So that's something last year that was something that I won't ever forget, because that's not easy to do. To win that many games that close in such a competitive league when you got the likes of Fayetteville Tech, who really had us beat twice, and we came from behind and beat Catawba Valley, Lewisburg, Bryant, Stratton, Pitt. And this year we got a new team in the league, Cleveland, who's going to be really, really good. And a good friend of mine is their head coach, and he's done a great job in recruiting. So it's going to be a fun league, as always. It's going to be exciting. And I hope our community will continue to come out and make Brinkley Gym the most difficult gym to play in the whole country.
So you mentioned Cleveland County. They are the Yetis. So tell us a little bit about, you said a good friend of yours coaches that program. First-year program, I think, right?
Yep.
Tell us what you know about them.
Well, Grayson Pierce, who's been the head coach at Kings Mountain High School for a long, long time, got the head job. They're huge. They got a 6'10" kid that we recruited. They got some other 6'8", 6'6" kids, athletic kids out of the portal. So it's going to be a fun game to watch when Davidson and Cleveland tips it up. I know he's hyped it up quite a bit already. So we're certainly on our end just as excited and looking forward to that game. But really every game is just as important as any game on our schedule.
Now we've also got another team moving into a conference this year, moving up from D3, Central Carolina. Tell us a little bit about Central Carolina and some of the challenges they might face making that jump from D3 to D2. You know very well you did that several years ago.
We did, and we certainly, for that reason and many other, don't take him lightly. Central Carolina moved up primarily according to their head coach, who told me they wanted to have athletic scholarship money to recruit on, and theoretically should help them in recruiting. So, you know, I haven't seen them play clearly this year, but in the past, Brad does a good job with running his system, and so we're excited about them joining our league. We did lose Wake Tech, who moved up to Division I, so, you know, adding them and, of course, Cleveland will make our league even that much deeper.
Well, the season officially kicks off November 4th at Central Carolina, a team we were just talking about. But over 3 weekends in October, you guys are going to be playing in exhibitions, 1 in-state, 2 out-of-state. Tell us a little bit about those preseason games and what the competition might look like for you there.
So the 2 jamborees we're going to, one's in Georgia, one's in Florida. The one in Georgia is a really good jamboree. There'll be a lot of 4-year coaches there. Helps our kids get recruited. But it's also big-time talent. We're playing all Division I JUCOs, both in Georgia and in Florida. The Florida one is kind of cool because it's an invite only. It's all D1 JUCOs, and I think last year we were the only Division II junior college there, and we actually went 4-0. And we beat some big-time talent, Gulf Coast, and a few others. Eastern Florida, I believe, and a couple more. But you know, we go to those jamborees, obviously, because we can play multiple games a day. We get to, in Georgia, split our team up into 2 teams. But also, we're playing against big-time talent, which helps us as coaches know where we're at and what I need to do a better job as a coach in terms of getting these guys prepared for that first game. And also, we're playing a lot of 4-year coaches because they are swamped at both events, but especially in Florida. I mean, last year, I would say there was well over 100 4-year coaches there, and I'm not exaggerating. So I think these guys, I've told them already, when we go down there, they'll play against some guys that one day will play in the SEC, ACC, and maybe even in the NBA one day. So last year we saw some 7-footers, one of which went to Florida State, a point guard that started at Boston College. You know, so it's not your typical you know, talent that you may not think of JUCO. I mean, these are big-time players.
Well, Aaron McAbee just sent something in. Is it November yet? So he's chomping at the bit, ready to watch some Storm basketball. We talked about our conference a little bit. There's some really good non-conference games on your schedule. A rough non-conference schedule. One of the games that really jumped out to me when you sent me the schedule for the upcoming season was that game you've got on November 26th. It's with Henry Ford College, and to me, this is a rematch of last year's 5th-place game in the national tourney. I thought it was the best game of the tourney. You guys were able to win that 110 to 102 in double overtime. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that exciting contest with Henry Ford, if you would, for a moment.
Well, we've played Henry Ford now 2 out of the last 3 years in the national tournament. 2 years ago, the first time we played the national championship, we played them in the Elite Eight and barely beat them that time. Both of his teams that we've played has been unbelievably talented offensively. I mean, last year they had 2 big-time Division I guards that are playing at Division I level right now. What I remember about last year's game is neither team could get a stop. I mean, obviously with that score, 110 to 102, is that what you said?
Yeah.
You know, I know it was double OT, but I told my assistants during the game, we were trying zone. I hate zone, but we tried zone. We were doing all kinds of things to try to get stops, but those kids just made tough shots. Extremely talented. I know he reloads every year. So they're going to be a talented team that'll come down here and play at a high level, but we've got to find a way to get stops if we want to win that game because, you know, these guys can score. I know they can score, but we've got to find a way to get stops to beat those type of teams and to win a national championship. I mean, you're not going to put the ball in the basket at a high rate every single night, so the way you are able to overcome that and win is to hang your hat on the defensive end and be a great rebounding team.
So question for you, 2 questions actually. How did you get the game scheduled? And is this a home and away, or is it going to be a thing where you guys travel up there next year?
It's definitely not a home and home,
Okay.
You know, return to favor type deal. Last year after we played them in the elite, or the last round, I guess it was, Saturday night, we were in our lobby, and I believe it was Coach's sister that stayed at the Hampton Inn where we were at, and he came over to visit with her in the lobby. It was late that night. And it was after the national championship game, and we were just sitting there hanging out talking, and I said, I'm thinking about having a classic next year. Would you be interested in driving down from Michigan? And he's like, absolutely. So about a week or two later, I called him and scheduled it, and here we are. So he's a super nice guy, great coach, unbelievable recruiter. So I hope our fans will mark their calendar for that game. It'll be a fun classic because you're going to have 4 really good teams. And a lot of 4-year coaches should be here that weekend to recruit. I'm going to promote that a lot. So that'll be an exciting weekend over Thanksgiving.
Looking forward to that weekend. You're also taking your team back to the Dean Dome for a December 2nd game against the UNC JV team. Now, you know, playing on that historic floor has really got to be a thrill for any basketball player. You've played on that floor before, I think, right? Walk us through what it feels like as a player to walk out there and play at the Dean Dome.
It never gets old, or at least not for me. Jokingly tell everybody the steps in the upper part of the Smith Center lead right up to heaven. But seriously, there's no better feeling than walking out of that tunnel to play in Smith Center. It's a very unique atmosphere, all that blue. So, you know, we try to go back there every year, and this year the head coach is Sean May, who played there, was the MVP of the Final Four, and he was gracious enough to schedule us on December 2nd before a varsity game, so we'll get to stay and watch the varsity team play that night. I don't know who they're playing yet because their schedule hasn't been released, but he did tell me they have a game that night.
Any feedback from your players over the years about being able to play there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, number one, it's a chance of a lifetime for most kids. Number two, I think the depth perception sometimes shooting the basketball is different in the Smith Center. I mean, the walls right here in Brinkley Gym are right behind the goal, so kids aren't used to that. I think sometimes that can mess with their mind in terms of depth perception. But, I mean, it's just a neat experience to get to play in there. Most kids don't ever get that opportunity, and it's a fun night for me. It's a fun night for our kids. But, you know, it's a lot more fun if we win the game.
All right, so another huge non-conference game. We'll talk about one more, if you will. Wednesday night, January 3rd, so kicking off the New Year's with Sand Hills. The Flyers come here this year. Now, last year's ball game was broadcast maybe on ESPNU, I think. Any chance of getting that kind of coverage here?
We won't know until later. I do know the National Junior College put out a ESPNU webinar with all the athletic directors around the country this past summer, which I was a part of, and they put on there the number of people that watched each sport, like the most of each sport, and the most watched game in basketball, believe it or not, was Davidson versus Sand Hills.
Nice.
So, you know, if both teams going into the Christmas break are doing well, which I expect both teams to do, I could see them potentially picking that game again. But I will say on our end, it does cost quite a bit of money because the host team, which would be us this year, has to pay 50% of all the production cost. The visiting team pays 25%, and the National Junior College pays 25%. So last year we had some local donors that paid our 25%. So if we get picked, I will have to get out and do some fundraising for that. But it would be a cool experience for these guys to get to play on ESPN Plus like last year's team.
Yeah. Even if it's not, that's going to be a tough ticket to get here, right?
There's no question. With our GMA holding 275 people, that game will probably sell out quickly. And I will say to all of our fans and certainly players' parents, any home game in Brinkley Gym, I recommend you get here 30 to 45 minutes before tip because once we're at capacity, we shut the doors, lock them, nobody's getting in, regardless if your name's on the pass list or not. The fire marshal could stop the game if he so choose if we go over. So that's a big deal as well. So I tell our fans always, parents, get here at least 30, 45 minutes before tip if you want to make sure you get in.
Well, let's talk about the national tourney because you guys are used to that talk. Last year, 16 teams participated in the fight for that national championship for the Division II national championship up in Danville, Illinois. This year, there's a change to that 16-team format. Walk us through what that is.
So there's going to be 4 at-large berths for the first time in the history of National Junior College Division II national tournament. So if you don't make it as an automatic qualifier by winning your regional district tournament, then there's potential if you've had a great year and you're probably ranked in the top 10 or whatever, top 20, that you could get an at-large berth. Obviously, we don't want to get in that way. We want to win our regional tournament. And the seeding for that is determined by your regular season. So everything matters, including your non-conference games, your regular season games, your regional tournament, because if you don't win the regional tournament, the only way you're going to have a chance to get an at-large berth, since there's only 4, is to be one of the top teams in the country.
So going from 16 to 20 teams, one thing that's not changing, though, is the venue. I saw this past spring where the NJCAA awarded Danville Area Community College the host site for at least the next 2 years. Now, that's been like a 30-year deal for those guys there.
They do a great job.
I was going to ask you, how do you like playing at that site, and would you like to see it moved around any?
Well, to me, it's about not just the site, but the people. And the people at Danville area are extremely, extremely accommodating, whether it be hotels, whether it be restaurants, whether it be shoot-arounds. I mean, they go out of their way to try to make the experience special for the kids in a lot of different ways. Last year they had a banquet, which unfortunately they can't have anymore because the tournament being a day longer due to having 20 teams instead of 16. But the overall feel from the time you get off that plane to the time you leave is just first class. They have a host for every single team, and that host helps you from getting your jerseys washed to getting you to the restaurant, getting you to where you want to be for a shoot-around. So every team is identified with a host that will help you with any questions that you have for the entire week. And the whole community is just, I mean, they look at these guys as like NBA players. I mean, they come out and pack the gym, so it's a fun atmosphere to play in.
Well, Scott Overton sends in, he says, I have my seats reserved. I don't know if he means for the national championship or for the Sandhill game.
Well, the Sandhills game, he's got a seat reserved at the scores table because he's running the clock.
Okay. And Storm Volleyball at Davidson-Davie says, #GoStorm. So glad to have the volleyball team with it. We'll need to get them up here.
Well, I was getting ready to say, Coach Elliott, can you send one girl up to get an interview potentially? Not to put any girls on the spot, but our volleyball team's having a great year. Mm-hmm. Steve, what are y'all, 12-4? 13-4. So who do Camellia? Okay,
who?
Bella Greaser.
Bella. You're going to have to say your name again.
Bella Greaser.
Bella Greaser. Okay, Bella, welcome to the program, to the Coaches Show.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm here. Kind of a surprise.
Well, we like to do these things here.
Yeah.
So 13-4 early in the season.
Yep.
Met your expectations so far?
I think so. I think we're doing pretty good. I think we can do a lot better. Like, we have a lot of potential, so I think going through the season now, we're going to do 10 times better. People don't know what they're going to get into with us.
Is this your first year here, or you're in
Yes,
second
it's
year?
my first year here.
And you are from what high school did you go to?
Oak Grove High School.
Okay, so you're not too far down the road
No,
either
I'm
from
not.
Oak Grove. Now, did Oak Grove have a strong volleyball program?
Yeah, we had a very strong volleyball program. The last year I was there, we went to second or third rounds in states, which made history because Oak Grove's new. And we also was undefeated in conference and then won the conference tournament.
Great.
Very strong.
So what are your expectations for DDCC this year? How far do you think you guys can go?
I'm expecting us to go to nationals.
Good.
I think we'll be able to win the tournament too.
How did you choose to come here?
Well, I wasn't really planning on going any farther, but I met my coach, and he has not been like any other coach I've ever had, and he was a great person. So I was like, maybe this will be fun. So I tried it, and it's been fun.
So what's it like playing for Coach Elliott?
It's really funny. It's honestly really entertaining. It's so much different from any other team I've ever played on. It's a very positive environment. I'm laughing. It's great. I really like it.
Now, how many matches, how many games do you ladies have left to play? A lot.
11.
11 more? And that's it? That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Hopefully more if we go to nationals.
Okay. Do these guys come and support you?
Yeah, a lot of them do. They're screaming a lot.
All right, and you've got to return the favor and come and support Storm basketball this year.
I think so.
If you can get into Brinkley Gym, it's packed.
This will fit very well.
Any pregame rituals?
Well, I like to drink an energy drink, definitely. Listen to music. I like to pray before every game. I definitely love doing that.
Any ladies on the team that stand out to you as someone that are leaders that you look up to?
On the court, I definitely like to look at Kennedy Powell. She encourages me a lot, and on the court, she helps me a lot. Like, when I mess up and I get in my head, she's like, "You're fine. You got it. Don't worry." I really love playing with her.
Well,
and she hypes me up, and I hype her up.
Well, thank you for coming and being part of the coaches show. 13
thank
and
you for
4
having
is a great job so
Thank
far,
you.
and you've got 11 more to go. So,
Thank you.
Bella Greaser for the DDC Storm volleyball team. So that was she very well.
Put her on the spot, too.
Yeah.
Coach confused me because I know her by Isabella, but I didn't know what he was saying. He was saying Bella. So, Isabella, great job.
Nice job. All right, so see, we do these things sometimes, so you guys remember that. You never know when you're going to get caught up here. Last year, we'll talk about sponsors at the very last part of the show, Coach. Last year, a lot of really nice additions to the gym here. To the game experience, we've got the digital scores table and that really nice digital scoreboard that we'll see more of this year. Those kind of upgrades wouldn't be possible were it not for some great support from our supporters. Mm-hmm. Take a moment, if you will, to recognize some of our top sponsors.
Well,
supporters.
obviously, Jerry Hunt Supercenter, who actually signed 5 of our players to an NIL deal recently. He's been crazy supportive in so many different ways. So I appreciate Todd. Then you got Justin Strickland's name on the court. You got Josh Hill, the Hill Group, Fidelity Bank, Mohawk Industries, Maccabee Investments. I mean, and then we got so many other people in our community that have helped. So I could keep going on and on, but some of these improvements that we've made would not be possible without them. And then we also have, as you well know, so many other people giving time, not just money, but time, like the best statistician in the game right over here, Manuel Teague's in the house. Give it up for Manuel. And his supportive wife. And then you got Caleb Curry and his son over there, Caleb's wife's brother. And, of course, Coach Mullis, who does a lot of things behind the scenes as well. So we're just blessed here. We are one big family. And Jared Bowman has, for so many, many, many years, helped us. And we wouldn't have digital scoreboard without Jared. He flew out to actually Danville, and we toured the facility where we bought it from Watchfire. And, now we have Patrick on board with us, helping us with these coaches shows and graphics and all sorts of things. So it's people like you, Miles, that make us who we are.
Well, it's a family. I mean, really, you said it. It's a family. Do you have any fundraisers right now that's going on, or anything that you need help from the Storm supporters?
Sure do. We have a Snap Raise campaign going on. Our players posted it on social media today. I posted it again, so you can give that way. There are other ways to give other than Snap Raise, but Snap Raise is one of the things we do have going on right now. We have needs of our program to raise money for hotels, obviously athletic scholarships for the future, meals, other equipment we're trying to buy, things that aren't necessarily in our year-to-year budget. So, there are some other needs of the program that we're trying to raise money for, and Snap Raise is one of those ways to do that.
Well, I want to thank you, Coach, number one, for giving me the opportunity to come and be part of this. I love it. So thank you for that. Thanks, Trey Fields, Najee Stroman, Alex Reese, for coming up and doing this tonight. Also for Brandon Mullis and Tristan Wells, who's always here. Patrick Stevens, Jared Bowman, Bella Greaser came up and did some stuff with us tonight. 13 and 4 volleyball program right now under Coach Elliott. So I'll let you have the closing comments.
Well, I just want to thank everybody involved, but especially these 18 guys over here, because they're the ones every day grinding and make Storm basketball what it will be this season. Extremely high expectations for this group. And, again, I'm going to challenge them on air to be fully committed to every single day, 6 p.m. to 3 p.m. Outside of practice.
Von Adams also chiming in here with a yes, go Storm. So thanks for everybody who texted us on Facebook tonight. And our next coaches show, I think, is Wednesday, October 11th at 7 o'clock. We invite anyone who wants to come out to Brinkley Gym here and be part of this. It's a lot of fun.
That will be after our first scrimmage, so I'll have a lot to say, I'm sure, then. So.
Well, thanks for joining us,
Thanks,
and
Miles.
until next time, go Storm.